Welcome, WCSD, to our first STEAM Variety Show. I'm John Salmon.
And I'm Tara Kohler. We're your STEAM Professional Development Specialist. Today, our first variety show is going to be focusing on what is Makerspace.
So a key goal to any Makerspace is really to have students build and shape their world.
So Makerspace allows us to address the core idea of the engineering practices and standards.
So what we have coming up for you is we're going to show you a quick Makerspace challenge with Kiva planks that you could do in your classroom.
Super fun, easy to do. Here we are, your steam machine, right inside our Kiva plank tower.
How fantastic is it in here?
It is so fun in here.
This is cool.
So I'm going to talk to you about how Makerspace can look different in different spaces. It could be as simple as students using recycled household items such as paper towel and toilet paper rolls, pipe cleaners. I've seen students make things such as binoculars using some of those tools along with some saran wrap. I've seen students also make an entire puppet show with ELA connections to go along with it in their Makerspace time.
The challenges can also be very sophisticated if you want them to be. We're in the middle of doing work with various classrooms where they're using 3D printers to print up prosthetic hands. They've been collaborating with different stakeholders globally as part of the Makerspace Challenge. We're going to be doing things with drones and obstacle courses, so they can be pretty complicated as well.
And let me guess, you're wondering, when am I going to fit this in? When can I do this? So some teachers do Makers Mondays, where for 30 to 60 minutes they make time on a Monday. Some do Fun Fridays, where they make time for this on a Friday. It could range from anywhere from 30 to 60 minutes, or it could just be once in a 6-day cycle for that same amount of time. This could be done in place of your science instruction, because remember, this is addressing engineering standards that we are responsible for, or it could be done in addition to your science time.
So whatever works for you is really what we're trying to get at. So the next steps, we're going to be putting together a Teacher's Companion Makerspace webpage that will pretty much run from A to Z for you and give you all different resources and printables and various things that you can utilize. And in our next in our next STEAM Variety Show, we're going to be planning and managing in Makerspaces.
Until next time, this is your WCSD Steam Machine signing off.
To me, Makerspace is really about students finding their passion and sharing that passion with other students. They get to use the 4 C's of 21st century learning, and they get to explore, create, build different things. They get to become engineers and look at problems and try and find solutions to those problems.
Makerspace is a time to let your imagination run free with all your resources that you have and just really make anything you want with the several resources you have to your advantage, like tape, light bulbs, and paper towels.
I think Makerspace is a time where you can just use your imagination to build stuff.
So Makerspace in our class is a time for our students to have a little freedom and decision in what they choose to create. Instead of me giving them a STEM challenge, they come up with their own challenge. As long as they're building something or creating something with the materials that we've collected as a class, then they're good to go.
Makerspace is a time for me to use electricity to build circuits and a lot of other stuff.
George is always asking me, are we going to have Makerspace or Tinker Time, sometimes we call it, on Fridays? And why is that something that you really enjoy, George?
It's because I love building stuff, and that's just time to build stuff I can't normally build.
Makerspace is absolutely essential to learning, and it's simply that. It's giving kids the space to make, to create, to explore. It can be integrated into all subject areas. It's a way for kids to really come up with ideas, test ideas, and use their innovation to improve upon lessons and topics that they learn. We've always been doing Makerspace in our whole life. If we've been creating, this is just intentionally ensuring that kids continue to get to use their creativity as often as possible.
So the awesome thing about Makerspace this year is that it was really tied to our curriculum. We really tied it to our science and social studies curriculum, which made it fun for us and the students. The students were able to tinker and explore and really try new things to learn about the curriculum and the world around them. For our Waves unit, our culminating project, we gave them a few materials. So we gave them barbecue skewers, gummy bears, and tape, and we said, okay, go, create a wave. And of course, we had something in mind that we thought and hoped that they would come up with, but it turns out that they all came up with their own ideas that were totally different than our own. But the good part is that they were able to do trial and error, really persevere when they made mistakes, and really just learn about the world around them and solidify what they learned during the unit.
Also, being a part of the Enable and Helping Hands project was a larger Makerspace platform for our students to really become aware about real life problems, real world problems.
So a Makerspace means to me a place where students can collaborate with one another. They were able to get exposed to some engineering, working with students, and even our teachers here at school. We actually had a faculty meeting during one of our meetings last month that the teachers were able to do challenges through our STEM PD team here at Wappinger Central School District. We also want to help initiate the STEM district initiative, pushing that into our classrooms and hoping to grow that here at Chief Road.
Hey, John.
Hey, Tara, how are you?
I'm so glad we're back here to recap our first variety show. It was really great to hear from our WCSD staff about Makerspace.
It really was, and it was nice to see the diversity and how different teachers are employing the Makerspace in their classrooms.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, we heard one of our teachers talk about the 21st century skills, which are communication, creativity, collaboration, and critical thinking. And I think it's really important that we instill these skills in our students because we are preparing them for a very unknown future. Do you remember when we were at Google how they talked about a couple of those statistics that 65% of jobs have not even been created yet for our students today? They also had mentioned that 40% of current jobs are gig-based entrepreneurs or freelance jobs, right? And I just find those statistics very fascinating. So, you know, the classrooms that we had 20 years ago, those aren't the classrooms that we could be running today because our future is so different.
The expectations for the students aren't the same either, yeah.
Absolutely.
It was, and you know, it was nice to hear also, we're hearing teachers talk about their version of Makerspace and how they were aligning their work to curriculum, and they were using that to launch into different Makerspace challenges. There's another class within the district that's not only aligning it to curriculum, it's a second grade class, and they're focusing on structure and properties of matter, and they have a simple challenge where it's starting with pipe cleaners, foil, and popsicle sticks, and they're going to be redesigning a piece of playground equipment. So that's curricular in nature. But then now they're extending it and even making it more complicated and complex. They're going to redesign an entire playground and make a multi-sensory playground. And they're farming their prototypes out to Ketchum High School, where the manufacturing class is actually going to design a prototype. It's going to come back to the second grade students, and then they're going to set up like a Shark Tank, really, and they're going to try and solicit businesses to see if they would be interested in producing that particular prototype that they created. So that's really cool.
I love the real world connection there. I think there's a huge misconception when people hear Makerspace or Tinker Time, and they think that it's just playtime. So you could walk into a classroom that they're having their Makerspace time, and it might appear that the kids are playing, but they actually are playing with a purpose. I have seen kindergartners, third graders, even upper grades designing games where they then have a purpose. That game is to teach their buddy class something that maybe they are learning about. I've seen a group of students who felt very passionately about kindness on the playground, so they decided to take their maker's time and create a puppet show. So they designed and engineered different backgrounds with paper and popsicle sticks and characters, and then they were able to perform that play for their peers to teach them a lesson. So it always comes with a purpose.
Yeah, I love that you bring up the idea of purpose. When you look at any makerspace, whether that's actually in the community or within classrooms, the idea of a makerspace is that there's intentionality and that it's relevant, right? It's relevant for the community and its stakeholders. So whether it be the classroom teacher, the students, the administrator, the building, I think Makerspace will take different forms depending on where you go, because it really needs to be relevant to its community. That's the whole point of it. So I think that that's really great that you bring that point up, because the idea of relevance is very important with Makerspace.
Absolutely. And, you know, I know we worry about meeting our standards, and you can absolutely incorporate your makerspace into your curriculum so that you are meeting your standards, but we're also meeting the standards of that disciplinary core idea of our science and engineering standards.
And I think a lot of people forget that.
Right, there's engineering standards. So where do I fit this in? By, you know, having this maker's time, you know, you could check that off your list. Maker's time means you're meeting the needs of your engineering standards.
Yeah, so this was really great. This was really great to do this
so fun.
This variety show and establish what is a makerspace. I think as we move forward, we're planning on setting up our next variety show that dives into greater details on how do you plan for your makerspace, how do you set up your makerspace. We'll have some opportunities where we can take a look at classroom organization, where we can go to different classrooms and see how they've already established it.
We want you to be able to, leave our variety show every other month, being able to go into your classroom and implement right away. So today we really wanted you to know what is a makerspace, and we hope that you have some clarity on what that is and how it can be different in your environment compared to your colleagues' environment.
Right. So we look forward to our next STEAM variety show.
Absolutely.
Thanks for tuning in.